Okay. Shall we start now? We'll wait for another minute.
Yes, sir.
Can start now. So please inform your students. Just put a message so that they can join. So another 2 virtual lab is there. Another 2, 3. Now today we will discuss the compression testing. Right? After that, bending and shear test. Right? Torsional also available. Okay. Torsional, bending, and shear test. There are 3 tests are there. So on the Monday we will plan to complete 2 experiments. So another 2 to 3 classes. So whichever we are listed in virtually, so we can able to finish it. Monday, Tuesday. However, Tuesday and Wednesday mathematics class is there. Monday and coming Thursday and Friday we will finish this virtual lab. Today we are planning to conduct compression test. So welcome you all to the online classes, online virtual laboratory. So as we discussed in the last class, we have been discussed about tensile test. One of the major experiment we need to practice that because that's one of the major experiments. So we need to perform for 50 marks for that experiment. We have successfully we are taking 2 classes to understand the how to conduct the tensile test. What are the important of parameters, how to set the parameters, and also some technical reasons and some technical phenomena which we have been discussed already about the tensile test. I think we were able to uh, got the got the information regarding the tensile test, theoretical informations, procedures, as well some technical information regarding the tensile test. Now today, so I am come up with the compression test for mild steel materials. Uh, the compression test for a mild steel material now we are selecting. So you can also select the cast iron materials as well wood materials. Most commonly we are taking the wood materials for conducting the compression test in our laboratory, in offline laboratory. In our I am saying that in our classroom, most commonly we are taking the wood materials also because wood is also one of the important materials that has also vital role in our industrial applications or mechanical applications. So that we need to understand the meanwhile we need to understand the wood materials also, not only to the steel and cast irons, the wood also which we are most commercially we are using for the industrial application, so that we can understand how the woods are behaves whenever they comes under the compression woods. Later we can select the kinds of the woods for the industrial applications. Now we will take the compression test for the steel materials. Before going to the procedure and simulations, now I would like to discuss with you here the theory regarding the compression test. Before that, you can able to answer this question: what you mean by compression strength of the engineering material? Any idea about the compression test? Hmm? How you can define the compression strength of the engineering materials, and what will be the um, what will be the difference between the tensile and compression? Directly I want to ask you that principle of the load, what kind of the load is acting here, what will be the principal direction of the loads in compression, how it's different from the tensile? You know tensile, what kind of the loads we are applying in tensile test? What will be the load phenomena in tensile test? Principal direction of the load in tensile test. Hmm? I'm audible? hello, I'm audible now? So how would like to compress the materials? Just tell me what kind of the forces we can able to take here to compress the material. In tensile, you know very well, we need to pull the both the ends right now. So tensile in the sense of the both the ends of that sample need to pull each other. Yes, that is what we can call it as a tensile. Both the ends are under tension. Both the ends are under tension. We need to pull the both the ends so that once we start pulling the both the ends of the sample, definitely somewhere in the middle, the cross-sectional area of that particular sample will reduce so that the total length of the sample will be increases. However, the cross-section area is decreases. As a result, the total length of the sample will be increases. What we can take the already before conducting, we are taking some gauge length now, so that gauge length will be increases whenever we are pulling the samples in both the ends. So that we can call it as a tensile force or tensile load. In compression load, here we can able to see this. We can able to see the image. Here we can able to compress the load. So the reverse in tensile force. In tensile test, we are pulling the both the ends. In compression, we are compressing or we are the loads are in opposite directions. So we are keeping the samples in between the two, so opposite direction loads. So this is reverse of the tensile force. So this is you can able to see now we are compressing these samples, right? So definition is the ability of the material to what? Ability of the material to resist the compression load. Compressive load it is here. You can able to see the direction of the load. You can able to see. So you have to have these basic ideas. If anybody can ask you, show the direction of the tensile load. So you can able to show the direction, at least direction of the loads. See, if anybody can ask you, show the direction of the compression load. So here the compression load. The both ends are compressed each other. Sometimes only one direction we need to compress. So bottom side, obviously there will be the opposition force. Some rigid parts at the bottom. So at the top we are applying some compression load so that there will be this will be definitely the rigid part will be opposite to the applied load. Hence this workpiece is under suspension of the compression. Sometimes we are applying both the ends we are applying the compression loads. So to both, because of this this direction of the loads, these materials will be compressed to each other. As you can see the second image, what happens, the plastic deformation takes place. So so how we can define this compression load? The ability of the material will not undergo easily the plastic deformation. That would be resist these kinds of the loads for a long period of time. That we can call it as a compressive strength of that material. Because for particular applications we need to take this compression test. Most of the applications, domestic applications or else industrial applications, because our machine elements are always under suspension of the compression, tension, and shear and bending. So because that work nature and work area, so that we cannot do anything else. This is helpless. So sometimes that work area is like that. They are under suspension of the compression and tension. So however, we need to create that components and that structure and elements. They should withstanding these kinds of the loads. That load may be in different forms, in the tensile form or compression form or bending form, so or else torsional form. So we need to first, so how we need to select these kinds of the material whenever we can, that zone, that area is always under suspension of the compression, sir, so that we can okay, it is a compression zone, then we can select these components or that working components or working elements should always resist the compression load, because that entire load will be the, so that zone or that work that the creating force will be the compression force, so that we can use the better materials or good materials or which are having the more compressive strength. Such kinds of the materials we can select to construct that particular applications. Later you can take them and put them for working conditions. let them to perform under the suspension of the compression load. So here we can able to see, this is the second image you can able to understand. So whenever we are increasing the compression load, so these types of the plastic deformation takes place. So as we can see the last image, so whenever we are increasing the load, our compression load gradually goes on increases, the cross section area of the sample will be increases. Just keep it in your mind, it's very very important. Don't uh, see, listen carefully and answer with me. This is not a simple things. Definitely, what will be the difference? What kind of the difference you could observe whenever we are applying, whenever we are conducting the both experiments? The tensor is also over and the compressor also over. After conducting these two experiments, end of the semester, definitely the examiner may ask you what kind of the difference you could observe, what kind of the experience you would have experienced while we are conducting the tensile and compression. What are the phenomena you would have observed? What happens exactly? Definitely they can ask you. See here, whenever you are thinking about the tensile test, so the both the ends are pulled each other. That middle will be, so somewhere in the middle, the cross section area will be reduced. As a result, length of the sample will be increases. This is ulta. Here we are compressing the sample. Cross sectional area is increases, but length will be decreases. This is the total reverse of tensile test. Remember, this is a total reverse of tensile test because here the cross-sectional area is increases as a result of the deformations takes place in that material. Right? The length of the sample will be decreases. The cross-sectional area of the sample is increases and increases and increases. So later there will be some cracks up to their capability ultimate that material will take the deformation. Initially that material will not undergo deformation, that would absorb the more amount of load. That you have to note down it. At what point deformation takes place? Here the second image is indicated that the deformation is takes place at a certain load. Deformation is takes place. That image is indicated that deformation is takes place. That is around about I don't know. It's a certain amount of load. You have to note down that beginning deformation load. You have to note down that load. Now the deformation is takes place, so you have to note down that load. Okay, at this point of load, the material deformation is takes place. This is the at initial stage. Later, this is the final stage of that material. Maximum that material will be able to deform it. Thereafter, there will be the cracks originates at the boundary, maybe sometimes in the boundary or middle. There will be the cracks takes place. Thereafter the material will completely separate, so that we can call it as a fracture takes place in the material. So you have to note on the initial deformation point. At what point the deformation is begins. Some materials will begins at 50, some materials will begins at 60, some material begins at 80. At 80 they will start deformation like this, as we can see the image 2. So hence we can note on that point 80 or 70 or 50. So that will be the maximum yield point or yield point of that compression. Whenever we are applying the compression load, that will be the yield. So let it be, so up to the fracture. Here you can able to see the maximum compression. This is we can say it is a yield is takes place, means the plastic deformation begins to start, and we can see it is like that. So this now as comparing this and this the deformation is very less here. The deformation is more here. The cross sectional area will be so increases as we can able to see the second one. So this is the maximum capability that we can call it as a maximum load or ultimate load. At that particular ultimate load, this will be take this deformations thereafter. So maybe the cracks is originated at the end or at sometimes where it is occurs at the middle. May it occurs middle or may not. Maybe it is the fracture or cracks takes place at the boundary lines. Here we can able to see the boundary lines, right and left side. May the cracks is originates from the bone. Once the crack is originates, so you can stop the process. Thereafter, that material will be separated into holes. So when when you find out when you could found the cracks originates at the corner or at the middle. So at that point you can note on that what we can call it as a maximum force. That is the maximum force to that material will withstand. Specifying from opposite sides. That is what we can call it as a compression force. So that is a maximum force, maximum compressive force that material can able to withstand. That you can note down. That will be helpful for the calculation purpose. So one is then compression yield force, other one is the maximum compressive force. That is very important to know the behavior of the engineering material. So later finally we can able to get like this curves for the different materials when you are taking the deformation values. That is what we can call it as the strain values and the stress values. This is what graphical representation, stress strain diagram for that particular material. So this is the compressive load and this is the strain. And stress means strain, compressive stress and strain versus compressive stress and strain. We need to plot the graph, then this will be showing like this. So this is what elastic deformation already you know about. At this point nothing happens to that material. That what we can indicate it here. Nothing happens. Here also we are applying some amount of load. That is about 30, 35, 40 we are applying the load, but nothing happens to that material because this material still it is in elastic deformation. Elastic deformation, nothing happens to this material. Whenever it reaches to the plastic, we can able to see like this changes takes place in that particular material. Immediately we can note on that point. That point will be the beginning stage of that plastic deformation. So we can technically we can call it an yield point. This is we can call it as a ultimate point. So I hope you understand about this theory. Now I'm coming to the different forms of the different failures takes place whenever we allow these engineering materials under compression load. How the fracture is takes place. So that is what we can different patterns of fracture takes place in the materials. So as we can see the image A, this is image A or what. So here we can just you can focus on the dimensions. So how we are varying the dimensions of the samples, so we can expect the different failure takes place in that pattern. We can expect the different patterns of failures we can able to see with the different variation in the sizes of that particular samples. So here you can able to see the sample. This sample is so sectional wise sample. It is the length of the sample will be the more as comparing to the B and C. So this is a plate. So larger section plate it is. Whenever this plate it has a long and length plate it has a long length, and whenever it sample is comes under the compression load, so you can expect these types of the deformation. We can expect these types of the deformation you can expect. So here middle you may expect the cracks takes place. So the failure by buckling, right? Whenever it is in a longer in section or longer in length, so these types of the fracture may takes place. So whereas you can see the image B, so whenever it is an medium size, it is medium size or rectangular size, so lesser than this. Now you can expect the forces whenever it is allowing, we are allowing these kinds of the sizes samples under the compression load, so you can expect like this fracture takes place. This is the failure mode. Suppose if you want to take this exact square shapes samples, square rods or square in shape, square seats, if you can able to put them into the compression load, so the fracture takes place diagonally, right? As we can see the image, so the fracture may takes place in these different shapes, different fractures places or patterns, or we can able to see the different patterns in the fracture patterns in the sample. So how we are varying their shapes. This is what I can show you in the theory part. It is very important because of the knowledge purpose. Now I'm directly go for the procedure, that I will show you the simulations. Now is the procedure. So now we are selecting the milestone material. So here we can able to see the UTM machines. This also major experiments, so we need to conduct in the UTM machine only, right? So before that procedure one, I can show you that this is our sample. Now these types of the martial materials we are allowing to conduct the compression, because we know we know that or we need to know the compressive strength of the sample. Maxwell sample, it is ASTM standard sample. It is now, so we have to conduct the, or we have to allow these materials for the tensile compression force. We need to know the compressive strength of this sample. So before that, we need to check the initial gauge length and initial diameter of the samples. So that this is the first step. We need to take the dimensions of the given sample. So note down the diameter and length of the sample, right? Thereafter, so this is what length and diameter. Initially, they are taking the diameter. This is so step 2 is kindly mute your mic. Right, muted. Thank you. Say here you can able to see the step 2. So step 2 to measure the length of the specimen. So first diameter, up to that length of the sample. See here you can able to see this is your sample. Now we are placing inside the machines by adjusting the lead screws. Now we need to place the machines like now it is a compression. Now it is in the position of the compression load with the help of the UTM machine. Step 3 you can able to see here we are placing the sample. Right, with the help of the control panel. So start the loading process. Note down the deflections using the dial gauge of corresponding load intervals. So here we can able to see this. Now this is with the help of the green and red buttons, we can on and off the machines, or we can able to control the machines, right? So this is step 4. We can able to see here we are showing you that. So once you start the button, that see here you can able to see slightly load is applying on the material. Load is gradually increases, right? So load will be gradually increases. So note down the loads in the kg form or Newton force, whichever you want. You can take the loads that is available in the machines and the monitors. So note down the loads or force, whereas other hand you can note down the displacements or strain developed in the material, right? These are the deformations you have to note down. For each load, each deformation, so you have to note down, because later we need to plot the graph versus stress versus strain. So that's we need to know this, or you need to collect all these data. So however we can note down the workpiece. So here we are zooming the workpiece. This as we can see the changes takes place in the material. So shape and size will be changes. This is after the yield. Up to the yield, nothing happens to that material. May yield happens up to 400, 200, up to 200, because 400 we are getting some changes in the material. So because here we can able to see the changes in the material. So nothing happens to that material. That material still it is in the elastic deformations, right? If there will be a changes takes place in the material, that we can able to understand this plastic deformation is takes place. Simultaneously, we can note down the load and strain or deformations. So with the help of the stress and the strain diagrams, these are the displacement and these are the loads. So x-axis you can take the loads and y-axis you can take the deformations. Deformation versus load. Now you can draw the figure, plot the graph. So graph is look like this, right? So but here the case is there is no yield point. There is no upper yield and lower yield. Only the fracture point is up to here. We can able to see this is the straight line, is the stress is directly proportional to strain. So here up to here we can able to get the straight line. Thereafter the curve will be there, so that the graph will be, we can get it in the form of curve. So here this will be so later I will explain you the later. So why we can able to take this secant modulus tangent modulus, not because up to here then the straight line is there, no problem. So at the last stage we need to calculate this. This is the graph. Once we are allowing that material into the compression load up to the ultimate, this is the ultimate point. Somewhere there will be the yield point, here or here. We can able to see here at the middle we can able to get the yield point, but yield point is not showing here. So that we need to calculate the proof stress method. Now we need to apply the proof stress method. We need to calculate the yield point, but here we don't need to calculate the yield point in compression, right? So only we need to calculate the directly compression strength of the given sample by taking the fracture point or ultimate point. And this is the ultimate point. Thereafter the fracture is takes place. So this is the ultimate compression load we need to take to calculate the compression strength of the given sample. So there's a last step you need to make, or you need to calculate all these. You make ensure all these results. Not all these results. I will tell you only proof stress doesn't require, but technically we need to calculate. But according to our V2 syllabus, there is no need to calculate the proof stress. If you want how to calculate the proof stress, that I can explain you. That's it. So compression strength we need to calculate. Secant modulus, tangent modulus, no need. Young's modulus we need to calculate. Young's modulus in the sense stiffness value. Stiffness we need to calculate. Young's modulus is equal to, so stress by strain. By applying the slope, here we are getting the straight line. So here you need to apply the slope, right? Now once you apply the slope, with the help of the slope, you can take the stress values and strain values. Stress by strain is equal to Young's modulus, that is modulus of ZT. And we only can focus this compression strength. We need to calculate the compression strength, and also you need to calculate the percentage of reduction in the length and percentage of increase in the cross-sectional lines. How much length is decreases in percentage, then as a result how much cross-sectional area is increases in the percentage we need to calculate. That already you know percentage of elongation, how you need to calculate percentage of reduction in area. Here the not reduction in area, so increases in area, percentage of increases in area and reduction in length. So definitely initial length minus final length, initial length minus final length divided by initial length into 100. Definitely you would have get percentage of reduction in length wise. In case of percentage of increase in cross-sectional area, so definitely you can take the final area minus initial area. Initial area is very less at this, particularly in this experiment. Whenever we are compressing, definitely the cross-sectional area will be increases, so that we can take the final cross-sectional area, initial cross-sectional area minus final cross-sectional area, so divided by initial cross-sectional area into 100. So now you can get the, so increases in cross-sectional area in terms of percentage. These two as well, compressive strength of the given sample and modulus of rigidity. That's it. No need to calculate the proof stress and secant modulus and tangent. Secant modulus and tangent modulus are for plastic materials most commonly. Means too much curves and curves. Here we can get, I think, slight curve is there. Na? If this curve will be increases, so this is a mycelial material, the secant and tangent modulus are not required. Suppose some kinds of the non-porous materials and plastic materials will give the curve structure, not like this straight. They will give the more than this curve. Here the slightly curve is there, so this is the hard material or strong material. If it is a plastic material or other some non-porous materials, they will give the curve, total round semi-square like structure we can able to get it. Whenever we are collecting these two values, when we are start plotting the graph will be in the semi-curve shape. Sometimes total circular form we can able to get. Some plastic or on rubber materials we can get the like this curve, like this semi-circular or circular types curve type graph. That is, now we can call it as a curve and too much curves. Whenever that material shows the curve and too much curves, at that reason we can apply the tangent modulus, secant modulus. Why we are applying the tangent and secant modulus? Because we need to know the Young's modulus. Young's modulus means stiffness value of the given sample. If you want to calculate the stiffness value of the given sample, definitely you would have applied the secant and tangent modulus, because if it is a straight line, for example, in this case, you can look at the figure. See, up to here we have a straight line, right? So in these cases, no need to take the secant and tangent modulus, because up to this, from here to here you can able to apply the, so here you can hold it. So keep an eye on my cursor. So here you can hold it and you can draw a slope. Definitely you get a slope. Then with help of the slope, so you can note down the beginning point or end point of the stress, right? or strain values. Here you can get the strain value, somewhere you can get the strain value here. So here we have, this is your point. Here you can get around about 4 kg pores you can get, and whereas here somewhere here you can get the strain value. Stress by strain, now you can stress by strain, you can simplify the stress by strain, directly you can get the Young's modulus. But some materials will not do this straight line. Immediately from here itself they becomes curve. So at this stages we cannot apply the, we cannot able to apply the straight line or slope. Too much curve, how can you apply the slope? So at that conditions you can take the secant modulus and tangent modulus. Already these things we have been discussed in our material science. In the first, I think in the first module, second chapter, already we have been discussed that what condition we can apply the secant modulus and tangent modulus, and what will be the proof stress. Proof stress also, once again for your information I will explain you. We are expecting somewhere here in the yield point. There will be the yield point in this. Each and every engineering material has possessed the yield point. Be careful. Keep it in mind. Each and every engineering materials on the earth, may rubber, plastics, ceramics, any material you can take it is as an engineering material. Each and every engineering material has a yield point, but some material will not show the yield point whenever we are conducting like this. For example, here this material will not showing the yield point. Each and every material has a yield point, but some materials will not show their yield point. Most of the brittle materials and the polymer materials will not show the yield point. So at that situations, what we need to take, we need to take the proof stress method. This is what proof stress. So with the help of some standard institutes are giving the strain values. With the help of the strain values, we need to draw the secant and tangent, or we need to take a slant or tangent. So with the help of the strain values, then we need to determine the proof stress. Already you have been discussed. I will not take too much stuff with that. If you want to take this, then you can contact personally if you want to know about the proof stresses in detail. I think you already you had studied this. Right now, this is only we need to calculate here the compressed strength of the given sample as well as the Young's modulus. Suppose it is a straight line, definitely we need to calculate the Young's modulus and compressed strength and percentage of reduction in length, percentage of increase in area. These things you need to calculate in the compression test. So after that your experiment will be completed. Otherwise, it will be incompleted. So I hope you understand all these things. Once again, we will go for a quick simulation so that you can understand. See, now just click on the button. See here you can able to take the length of the specimen is 45. Length of the sample will be 45 mm, right? Okay. So we're back. We can go for first step. We can start from first step itself. Yes. Right. So here we can observe. Here we can able to see the machine and the who's person is conducting to experiment. So just click on here. Yes, this is diameter. The first step is to determine the diameter of the sample. Yes, here. Yes. So now we will get the average initial diameter, because two times he is taking the reading. So average reading, the average diameter of that sample will be 20.10 mm. Now the second step, so how to do this? We need to take the length of the specimen is 42 mm. So as we can indicate it here. Yes. Now we need to place the sample in UTM machine. Sample is placed in the UTM machine. So there is no indications.
The sample is flipped, sir. Then move, sir.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. Right. right? Okay, so now we are placing the samples in properly, in a proper orientation. We are keeping the sample into the UTM machine in between the two jaws. Yes, now got it clear now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Now we are placing in between the two jaws. Now we will move to the next. Yes. Okay, network problem. Yes. See, once we start the button, so load is applying over the sample. Now we can, so how the loads are generated, so that you can able to understand through the simulation, right? Now we are getting this slope till the fracture is takes place or the ultimate deformation is takes place. Now I am pressing the red button. Now the work will start. Hope you understand this is. Now whenever we are clicking the green button, now the work will start, or machine will start. It's start keep on applying the loads that we can able to see here the loads generated, how the loads are generated with respect to their deformations also we can able to see here. So once that ultimate deformation is takes place, now we are stop the button. So as we can, as here indicated red button, then we will get the ultimate, see, the ultimate load or final load is 28,000 kg and deformation is 1429, right? You can also download the data, no problem. Yes, with help of the stress strain now. So here we are getting the automatic graph. So it's manually you need to take all the data and you need to draw the curve also. Yes, right. This is the stress strain diagram. Here we can take the compression load and here you can take the deformations for 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 up to. So this is the graph. So hope you understand this. See, slope. So here there are slope. Why these slopes are important? I told you that Young's modulus, right? So here you can also, because this is the curve is there now. See, here there will be the curve, small curve is there. So this whenever it's showing the curve, we cannot able to at this position you can see this area you can able to apply the slope. Here this is the straight line is there, here they are applying this slope. So here also the straight line is there, so here we are applying this slope, right? But in the curve position we cannot able to apply the slope, so that we need to take the tangent like this. So we need to apply the tangent. Once we are drawing the tangent, so now it's we are getting the straight line by applying the tangent. Then you can apply the slope or the tangent, so that you can get the stress value, strain value. So these are two stress values. If you pick this point correspondence to this, you can take it here. You can able to get the 4,500. Yes, 4,500 stresses. Or if you want to take the at this point, at a top point, here you can able to get directly 60,000. Oh, sorry, 6,000. Right, and with correspondence to this you can able to get here the strain values. If you fix this point, you can take this strain values, or else you can take these strain values, right? So correspondence to this point we will get here the 50 strain, yes, and correspondence to this here getting the 6,000 kg. This is the stress. With correspondence to this point here we get the stress, and correspondence to this here get the strain. Stress by strain, that is what Young's modulus of rigidity. This is for this or for this. For this also same here. If it is a correct straight line, now we need to calculate the stiffness value of the sample. Okay, if you want to calculate the stiffness value of the sample, then you can apply the like this slope. So slope you can take correspondence to this point or correspondence to this point, or else correspondence to this stress load or correspondence to this stress. This is suppose correspondence to this, if you can take, this is the minimum stress value. Correspondence to this you can take, this is the maximum stress value. If you picking this value and you can draw like this is the minimum strain value. If you want to pick this point, this is what minimum maximum strain values. Through this point we will get the minimum strain value. Through this point we will get the maximum strain value. Through this point correspondence to stress we will get the minimum stress. Through this point we will get maximum stress. Which stress you want? Minimum stress you want to calculate, you want to apply the per minimum values Young's modulus, then you can take the minimum values. Minimum value, this is the minimum stress 2500 and minimum strain is 50. Then 200 over 50, that is what Young's modulus for minimum values. Maximum values you want, you can take a maximum values 5500. Maximum stress, because the maximum strain will be the, I think it is 80 or 90 to 5500 divided by 80 or 90 strain. And then you can simplify this, you can get the Young's value of the Young's modulus, that is for maximum values. Then depending upon you want to know the minimum values Young's modulus, if you want to know the maximum values Young's modulus, wherever you can apply it and you can find out the Young's modulus of the given sample. This is what whenever we can get a straight line. This is what whenever you can get a curve, then we need to take this tangent, then you can calculate. This is what a secant method. Too much curve, then we can apply the tangent method. You already have been discussed all the three slopes, they are showing you the slope values, right? But in case of mild steel material in our laboratory, we are using the wood materials and mild steel materials and cast irons, so there is no need to take these kinds of the calculations. But this is for higher level educations. For NIT and IIT people are doing all these things according to the VTU syllabus. Only we are finding the compression, maximum compression strength of the given sample as well Young's modulus. That's it. So whenever we are getting the straight line, we need to apply it. But this is also very important in your future also, right? Whenever we are getting the curve shape, then we can need to take the tangent and then we can apply the slope. Then we will get the values. Then we can calculate. This is what proof stress. See, this is what proof stress. So, because this material will not showing their yield point, then we can need to apply this. Right, but we are following some institute standards because we need to take some strain values which are recognized by the ASM standards as well as the Indian standards. Okay, now we'll move on to the next. This last step is the calculations, proof stresses, because already you are applying the slopes now. So through that slopes you can get it the proof stress values, how much it is compression strength, maximum load divided by cross clear of the sample, so that we can call it as a compression strength of the given sample. Secant modulus, already you are applying the tangent to the tangent, you are getting the slope values also, you know, just you can take the stress by strain values. Tangent modulus also stress by strain modulus. So Young's modulus, whenever we are whenever that material directly gives the straight line, now we can apply the Young's modulus. Whenever that material will not give the straight line, though we need to find out the stiffness value of the these three, keep it in mind, all these three are purpose of finding the stiffness value of the given sample. Yesterday only I told you, at the last class only I told you, stiffness value is very important of that particular engineering material. Thereafter yield point is very important. Stiffness point and yield points are very important for the engineers. Once they are finding these two, they will predict their entire life. Even they can predict the ultimate and fracture also. They will not go for the ultimate and fracture points. Once they got this perfect yield and perfect stiffness, all these 3 points are need to find out the stiffness value of the given sample. If that sample will give the directly straight line, then you can apply the Young's modulus or modulus of rigidity. No need to take the secant and tangent. If suppose the case that material will not give the straight line, if it shows the curves and too much curves, if it shows the curves, then you can apply the tangent modulus. If it shows the too much curve, then you can apply the tangent modulus. Much curve, well, so normal curve secant, much curve tangent. all these three methods to know the or to finding the stiffness value of the given sample. These two are curve purpose, this is for straight line purposes. This is the normal curve, this is too much curve. I hope you understand, right? If you want once more simulation, so we can take it, no problem. Shall we take one more time simulation, or else we'll wind up? Hello?
Wind up, sir.
Wind up, okay. It's around about 2:53. Okay, we will wind up. So however we have a time in tomorrow also, we will once again we will take the simulations. I hope you understand how to conduct this.
Yes, sir.
Simple steps which we are involved in to conduct the compression test. Okay, now it's time up. Will not take much time. I will take the attendance. I will finish this. Right. Yes, tomorrow we'll discuss the one more experiment, bending or shear test, so that we have a much time. Mild steel materials also we will directly will go for the simulation for the mild steel, not mild steel material, cast iron for compression test, right? So that we can understand better how the cast iron materials will show the